A very good evening. A week ago today, a horrifying attack here in Southport led to the deaths of 3 young girls. 7-year-old Elsie Dot Stancombe was killed alongside BB King, who was 6, and 9-year-old Alice De Silva Aguirre last Monday when a knifeman entered a dance class on Hart Street. As we come on air tonight, the community is once again coming together in what they're calling a bubble blow. They say they are sending kisses to heaven to remember the little girls and everybody caught up in this tragedy. But sadly, I'm afraid to say, not everybody has displayed the solidarity that we're seeing here this evening. Parts of our region are tonight counting the cost of rioting over the weekend in Liverpool, Manchester, Blackpool and Bolton, from where Elaine Wilcox now reports.
Held apart by riot police, on one side a group claiming enough is enough, facing off a predominantly Asian counter-protest. Terrifying scenes for shoppers, with missiles being thrown and police lines breached. A prominent youth leader in Bolton said people are now frightened to go out.
I've spent all of my life supporting this country's youth, and the scenes I saw yesterday, this didn't feel like home. And that's sad, and so many other people feel like that. So I think that it is damaging community relations, and it's going to take time to repair.
Bolton is a multicultural town with a long tradition of supporting those seeking sanctuary. So there's frustration that in a town like this, there are those seeking to stir up divisions and mindless violence.
Fascists just throwing things at them, barrels and things like that. So we just had to close up for the day, like it was just crazy.
In amongst the reaction, 16-year-old Carmel, a voice of reason that belies her years.
The people going out rioting, calling it protesting when it's not protesting, it's just violence, are using those little girls that died as an excuse. I think it's just silly. People are just using it as an excuse to be racist.
Local leaders question the protesters' motives.
Some of the people taking to the streets and shouting, "We want our country back," in fact, want to make it something it has never been before, a place where people fear for their safety going about their everyday business. We must not and we will not let them prevail.
A woman who was part of the anti-immigration protests insisted they were peaceful, but said some had chanted Tommy Robinson's name. The former leader of the disbanded EDL is accused of intimidating Muslim communities. Bolton's deputy leader had this message.
Any form of intolerance, violence and discrimination is not welcome in Bolton.
Are asylum seekers, refugees being used as a scapegoat for people's anger?
That's the way it appears, and it is unacceptable.
Saad, who settled here after fleeing Iraq, says this isn't the Bolton his family knows.
When I go anywhere in Europe, to Iraq or anywhere out of Bolton, when we come, me and my wife, back to Bolton, we say, home sweet home. So let them shout a little bit and it will go. You and us, we are all together. We are stronger than these waves. We know that.
At least 14 people have been arrested and weapons seized, with the government calling for more to be named and shamed. Elaine Wilcox, ITV News, Bolton.
Yeah, some terrifying scenes over the weekend in parts of our region. The disturbances that followed events here have led to dozens of court appearances across the region. Our correspondent Rob Smith has been watching proceedings before magistrates in Liverpool.
The authorities promised swift action against those who've inflicted violence on communities, including Southport, Liverpool and beyond in recent days, and a number of defendants pleaded guilty before a judge in this courtroom today. The eldest, 69 years old, William Nelson Morgan from Walton, he pleaded guilty to violent disorder and possessing an offensive weapon in public, a wooden bat. He was identified throwing bricks at police at County Road in Walton on Saturday. The youngest defendant, 14 years old, can't be identified for legal reasons. He admitted violent disorder. He set off fireworks towards police and the public, and when he was arrested, he said, "Sorry, I wasn't firing them at you." Officers found that he had fireworks and a lighter on him when he was searched. The Chief Constable of Merseyside Police took a walk through the city centre today with city officials, and amid rumours of further violent gatherings, she said that just won't be tolerated.
To the rest of the people who've been carrying out those acts of violence across the last 7 days, we will be coming for you. You will feel the full force of the law. If you think you've got away with it, we've got hours worth of social media footage, we've got hours of CCTV, I've got a full team now working our way through it, and you will feel a knock on your door in the days, in the weeks, in the months to come. You are not going to get away with this.
And it is worth noting that of those who've pleaded guilty here today, several will be sentenced at Crown Court hearings at the end of this month.
Rob Smith reporting there. Well, joining me is Councillor June Burns, the Mayor of Sefton. Councillor, good to see you. So you got your bubbles with you. Yeah. What an event this evening is. How would you sum up how people are feeling today?
I mean, this event, look at it. It's such a wonderful event, a wonderful way of bringing children in to do their bit for showing support. And the community has been so supportive. This is all being put together in a day, and that's what the community do best. Help each other, support each other, and get on with showing the families how good we are at supporting.
The Granada Reports team have really seen with our own eyes how supportive this community is and how it's really rallied around one another. But people were clearly upset, they were shocked, they were hurt by the horrifying scenes that we saw over the course of the weekend. Can you believe that it's happened again over the weekend, this similar scenes to what we saw last week?
Well, the thing is, we have to sort of put that to one side, really. I know that's very difficult, but we can't keep giving them all the airtime, not when people are grieving here. That's where we need to put our focus on, and that's where I need to be focused on. I need to be focused on making sure that the people of Sefton, and particularly the people of Southport, are supporting each other, and that the families are maybe shielded from, the tragic events of what's going on around the country and cope with their own tragic events.
You must have spent the day talking to people, members of this community, many of the people that are probably are here right now. Give us a sense of the type of things that they've been saying to you, Councillor. I
think they've been amazed at how people are pulled together. I think that's been the biggest sense of all. Wonderful. A lady came up to me, she had a suitcase in her hand, and as I walked up she said to me, "This hasn't put me off coming on holiday. I've come," and she had a suitcase with her. She said, "I've arrived today, this will not put me off." And that's what we are, we're resilient, and we will be resilient, and that's what you've got to be.
There will inevitably be people asking themselves that question. How do we rebuild? How do we move forward from this? What would you say to them?
Well, I think what happened on the night after the riots, seeing how we rebuild, people just got on with it and helped each other, and I think that's where we will rebuild. It's going to take a long time. Even this tonight, hopefully this gives the children an opportunity to do their grieving, and in the future when those difficult questions come along, which, let's be honest, they're going to come either from the families or the teachers, they're going to have to cope with the questions that the children are going to ask. And maybe they can say to them, do you remember that event we went to, that lovely event where we all blew bubbles? That was because we sent bubbles to heaven. Yeah. And that's the only way you've got to be resilient.
And just very briefly, Councillor, tragic event. It's been horrifying and terrifying for everybody in this community. Personally, on a personal level, how are you?
Oh, do you know what? Sometimes I'm 6:30 in the morning, I have my cup of tea and it hits me, and then I get myself together and think, right, I've got to get out today and get on with it, because these are the people that matter.
OK, Councillor, many thanks indeed for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, inevitably, parents and grandparents are worried about children's safety after the shock of last week's attack continues to be felt. So 2 dads who run a security firm in Merseyside have offered to provide free protection for children's clubs. It comes after reluctance from some mums and dads to send their kids to holiday camps, while many organisers have cancelled sessions. Anna Yosef has this report.
I'm assuming they've all been prepped with to bring ID and stuff today.
I think they all know. They've been told what's happening.
This security firm's been inundated after offering to provide free protection to children's clubs following the Southport knife attack.
People just don't want to send the kids anywhere. But then again, we were getting contacted by people that have got no choice. They got to go to work all day, so they need some sort of reassurance that someone's going to be there looking after the kids.
Why did you decide to offer your services for free?
Mainly because I was sat with my daughter, and I just thought, if she can't go to things through the summer, I wouldn't like it. And we thought these places that are putting these things on can't afford to pay for the security, some of them. So we thought we'd do our best and try and get some free stuff out there.
We've had a teddy bears picnic, birthday party that was going to get cancelled. And it's like no child shouldn't have a birthday party. So if it's that little peace of mind for the parents and the families, it's worked, hasn't it?
They've already been booked to provide security at nearly 30 different venues, and there's been no shortage of staff willing to volunteer.
It's unbelievable. I had friends texting me saying, oh, my mate worked at doors, he's got his badge, he works security, he said he's free these days. We've had one gentleman who took time off work to just come and work across the summer type of thing.
Don't worry, we'll make sure everyone feels safe and is safe.
That's all we can ask.
That's what we're here for, that's all we're doing.
As long as the kids have a good time.
That's it.
Ian's a father of 5 and lives in Banks, the same village as the teenager charged with carrying out the attack. He's organising a free fun day for local children at the Community and Leisure Centre. The team will be there to provide security.
Just to make the children and the parents feel safer. You know, when they don't get me wrong, the hub is a safe place, it's very secure inside anyway, but it's just peace of mind for the parents.
The gesture's one of a number of acts of kindness which have emerged as the people of Southport come together to grieve and to support each other.
We just decided to do it for the children of the village, really, trying to put some smiles back on the children's faces. The village is very, very quiet at the minute, very strange. I've never known it in all the years I've lived here, so we just felt we need to put something on to cheer the children up for the village.
This is a community reeling from an unimaginable tragedy, but one that still has hope for the future. Anna Yosef, ITV News, Banks.
Yeah, two dads offering to do their bit for the community here. And that is it from the Bubble Blow here in Southport for the moment. For now, let's join Mel in the studio for some of today's other news. Hello, Mel.
Hi, Gamal. In Southport, thank you. Well, in other news tonight, 2 commemorative services have taken place on the Isle of Man to mark the 51st anniversary of the Summerland fire. While government officials gathered at the memorial, others gathered on what remains of the original site. Those campaigners are fighting to overturn the verdict of misadventure given to all 50 people who died in the disaster. Joshua Stokes has been speaking to some of those caught up in the fire. There are some details in his report that you may find upsetting.
There's absolute pandemonium here because Summerland is ablaze and blazing down. The fire is spreading very rapidly indeed.
It was supposed to be the very best in holiday entertainment, but in 1973, the Summerland fire claimed the lives of 50 people. At just 5 years old, Tracy and her parents from Warrington were caught in the centre of the blaze.
The ceiling was dripping and I actually saw the flames dripping onto people. I saw a mum, she got a little girl and she literally got her over the balcony and dropped her, praying that one of the passers-by would actually pick her up and catch her. Not all those children got caught. I remember seeing people who were more or less as an inferno. You could see the face, but the rest of the body was literally flames. And they were throwing themselves off balconies.
A night of trauma, and one that has stayed with Tracy throughout her life.
I had anxiety attacks. There's no mental health stuff in the 70s. You just suck it up, get on with it. You've nobody to talk to.
Given how much trauma there is around Summerland, do you think this is a disaster that's been properly remembered?
No, it's been forgotten totally. I think people need to be made accountable for Summerland because it wasn't our fault. We didn't ask to be in there, we went in there to have fun and we came out with trauma.
A sentiment shared by Jackie Hallam, trapped in the fire at 13 years old, where she lost her mum Lorna to the blaze. And this year, she added her name to the island's book of remembrance.
To see her name on that page, on this day, on this island, as an individual person, she was my mum. And I don't know what happened to her, but her name is here now, forever.
But Jackie is also seeking justice, hoping to overturn the current verdict of misadventure. Campaigners are due to submit their application for a fresh inquest in the coming weeks.
This is about morals, this is not about politics. This is about doing the right thing. The verdict was wrong, so the authorities needn't think that this is going away. It is not going away, because I will fight for this until I'm no longer able to do so.
In a statement, the government said, "We continue to welcome engagement with survivors and victims' families, some of whom travelled to the island to be part of previous commemorations. However, an application for a fresh inquest would be a legal matter for the Attorney General to consider, and it would be inappropriate for the Isle of Man government to comment until this process is complete." Like previous years, 2 commemorative services marked the 51st anniversary. While officials gathered at the Summerland Memorial, campaigners once again formed on the original site, now preparing to take the next legal step to seek justice. Joshua Stokes, ITV News in the Isle of Man.
3 women and a man have been arrested near Manchester Airport on suspicion of trying to carry out a Just Stop Oil protest. Greater Manchester Police says they were detained this morning in possession of items which could have been used to cause damage and disruption to the airport and would have meant significant delays. They're being held on suspicion of conspiring to cause a public nuisance.
Coming up on the programme, cities across the UK recover after a weekend of riots. The Prime Minister has called an emergency Cobra meeting to tackle the violence a week after the Southport stabbings. We'll have analysis and reaction from across the country. Also on the programme, an exclusive report into the worrying rise in the number of fires caused by the conversion of traditional bicycles into electric versions. Do join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Who is in Southport. Gamal.
Mel, thank you. Well, hello and welcome back. I'm joined now by the chairman of Southport Mosque, Imam Ibrahim Hussein. Imam, good to see you again. Thank you for joining us. After the events of last week, after the events of the weekend, how are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling a lot of sympathy and love towards these families that have this great loss, and I'm sure Southport is going to come back together. This is Southport. This is Southport, and not what happened last Tuesday. So, if I can just give 3 short messages to the whole country, is please remember the family, please support the family, please pray for the family. As for the thugs, they don't matter at all.
What have local Muslims been saying to you, Imam? How are they feeling right now? What are they telling you?
Well, we all trying to come to terms with what's happening. What happened last week didn't make any sense to anybody. And the strangest thing is, after it's been discovered that this guy is not a Muslim, is not he was born in this country and he's not immigrant, the violence escalated, which it really does not make any sense to any of us. And I don't know what to make of it. Nobody knows what to make of it.
You got a taxi here this afternoon.
Yes.
Is that because you're feeling scared right now?
Well, I am not going to wear this and walk in Southport, although I know there is plenty of people who are decent and loving, and I always walk like this. There is few nutters that I wouldn't like to bump into.
What do you make of events such as this bubble blow? So many people have once again turned out supporting one another.
Yes.
Thinking about those little girls who died.
The little girls is all that matters. None of us is concerned about anything else at the moment but these little girls.
And just finally, Imam, what would you say to people who ask the question, how does Southport now rebuild? How does Southport now move forward from this?
I'm sure we will go through it. We will go through the whole these people are usually, we know that they are from outside Southport. Yes, there is some in Southport, but the decent people in Southport override anything else.
Okay, Imam Ibrahim Hussein, thank you very much for joining us once again on Granada Reports. Thank you. Well, putting smiles back on people's faces is something many here in Southport are really trying to do at the moment. So as I asked the Imam and I asked the councillor early on, how does the community now rebuild from the heartbreak of last Monday and then the public disorder that subsequently followed. Tim Scott has been taking a look and has been finding out.
1 week on from the stabbings in Southport, and pink ribbons have sprung up on doors, shops and pavements, a sign that the community here remain united after the turbulent events of the last 7 days. 10-year-old Texas Rigby helped raise £1,500 for the grieving families by giving out hugs to passers-by over the weekend.
It made me quite happy because I really liked it. It was really fun.
Texas's father helped as well, giving free tattoos for donations to the family's fund.
I saw the response was brilliant. Yeah, we had people just passing by and stopping in the car, donating, having free hugs and cookies and drinks, and we really got a lot of people, even people coming from the pub and walking past. They would come and just donate and have a hug and stuff like that, and a chat and a brew, and it was really nice.
People in the centre of Southport today told us the town was quieter than normal, but also continuing to pull together.
It's ever so quiet, and yeah, it's not the same. No, it's very quiet and that, but I just hope everything gets back to normal.
Thought it would have been a lot busier. Whether what's happened had an effect on it, I'm not sure. But it's peak holiday season now. A lot less people than I would have imagined at this time of year.
It's nice to see that everyone's coming together. That's what it should be all about.
Everyone feels a bit on edge, I think.
I think everyone's on edge, but I like the way that communities came together, and that's the main thing. That's the way Southport always has been and will be. So I think that's a good thing to always think about, is that everyone is always going to be there for each other.
A local shop vandalised in the rioting on Tuesday reopened today, and near the scene of the stabbings on Hart Street, resident Mike Ainscough has been tending to the floral tributes and the teddy bears and toys brought there by local children.
There are children traumatised, so if they can walk round our garden, and it helps them seeing all the teddy bears and toys, which I've tried to make in a lot of instances, hold each other. So they give that comradeship. It's the holding and staying together. It helps, and that's all that matters.
Tim Scott, ITV News, Southport.
It certainly is all that matters. Well, this bubble blow event this evening is continuing, and for the first time since Monday, really, I've actually seen some smiles on kids' faces. Let's not forget, it is the summer holidays. Parents are trying to stay positive for their kids, and given that there are a lot of bubbles around, you know, the kids are having a good time, and their mums and dads and grandparents are all there with them, supporting them and thinking of those 3 little girls who sadly lost their lives last Monday. Well, that is it from Granada Reports today. Our late bulletin is here after news at 10, and our website will keep you updated. And it is now exactly a week since Elsie, Bibi and Alice were killed. And just before we go, we want to show you these pictures from Friday when buildings across the country were lit in pink. Bye-bye for now.
Mum, wet wipes, toilet or bin?
Bin. Why?
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Hello again, a very good evening to you. After a really humid day today, a much fresher feel from now on, and into the next few days or so there will be some brightness to come, showers at times, rather more cloud than we like, with low pressure back in the driving seat for the UK's weather. Driving fronts in, nothing too much to worry about rain-wise, but there will be a few heavy bursts at times, winds picking up occasionally. And as we approach the weekend, it isn't going to be cold by night, and temperatures by day doing pretty well. In the meantime, this evening, however, a band of rain will be moving in, and some of that will have a thundery nature from now until midnight, after which it becomes drier, but low cloud, mistiness and a few little pockets of fog will continue to affect the northwest before dawn. Temperature-wise, another warm one for sleeping. I would have thought 15 or 16 Celsius, but winds dropping away to barely anything by tomorrow, and a dry start for most places on Tuesday, when the sun will be rising at 5:35 and setting at 8:57 tomorrow evening. That low cloud and mistiness should give way to bright skies very quickly tomorrow morning. Perhaps a very isolated shower, but all in all we're looking at a fine day, with more cloud bubbling up through the afternoon, winds a little fresh around the coast, and perhaps the odd shower for Irish Sea coast tomorrow, but generally it's dry with light winds and noticeably fresher, 20 or 21 degrees tomorrow afternoon. More cloud will tend to build as we head through the next few days. There will be glimmers of brightness, showers to come on Wednesday, rain on Thursday, dry but dull on Friday. Average temperatures at best by day and night. Bye-bye.
Cleaned up well.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.